So getting more information about a module, of course, you can always Google it and look up information about a module. If I do that, let's just say with the random module, I would go Python random module. And then I could go, if I see this, Python docs, that's the official Python documentation. Now this can feel a little overwhelming because this is going to tell you everything about everything having to do with the random module. So it tells you a lot of things. Functions for integers, functions for sequences. So it tells you how to use all of these things. It tells you the parameters and the syntax and all of that stuff and tells you what it does. And that's great. That's useful. And also, most of these come with what are called recipes. Okay, so recipes are little pieces of code that show you how to use that module in useful ways. That's kind of nice. And that's available to you if you just go to the official Python documentation. And it's usually what comes up first if you do Python random module here. Okay. But if you look at some of these other ones, I really like W3 Schools. I think I've shared this with you all before. W3 Schools has really great stuff. But this will just tell you all of the methods of the random module, all of the functions that live there. And if you go into those, you can actually see how to use them, and you can actually run that Python code to try out different things right there in the window. So that's kind of nice. W3 Schools is great. But there's one more way to get information, and I'm going to teach you a new built-in function today. This function is built into Python, so it's one of the main Python functions. It's called the directory function. Directory, dir, will tell you about things. And if I give it the package or the module name as a parameter, it'll tell me about that module. So here's what you can expect. If I use directory with no parameter like this, what that does is it tells me what variables exist in my main program in this context. If I do this inside a function, it'll tell me what variables exist inside the function. So that's useful for debugging as well and figuring things out. So if I run this, now obviously I didn't define any variables here. I imported random and I have the print directory here, and that's the whole program. So there are no user-defined variables by me here. But what you can see here is when I print that, what is it that I'm printing, first of all? Look right here. What does that tell me this is? A what? Yes, it's an array or a simple list, right? So the nice thing about that is what I know is that if I want to print that in a nicer looking way, I can do something called iteration, right? So I can go for str item in dir. Okay, print str item. And now what that will give me is a much nicer looking list of the things that are available to me. Now, we haven't really talked about these yet. What are all these things here with the underscore? In fact, there's 2 underscores before them and 2 underscores after them. These are called special variables. We haven't played around with them yet, but we will when we get a little bit further into the class. These are things that exist automatically. And that's the best way to describe it for now. Just know that they exist automatically. Python creates them when you run the program. And each of these has data in it that could be useful depending on what kind of program you're doing. And then the very last thing we see here is random. So it knows that I imported the random module here. So if I want to find out what's in the random module, I can dig a little deeper here and give that as a parameter to the directory. And now when I run that, of course, it has its own set of special variables, some with 1 underscore, and then the ones with 1 underscore before and after. But look at these. I've got cosine. I've got a lot of different things going on here. And then without the underscore, these are the members of random. And you'll see random choice. You'll see rand int, which those are things that we've used, right? So if you want to find out what are the functions or members inside a module, you can use the directory command or the directory function with that module passed to it as a way of finding out what's available to you. Now, it's probably worth mentioning that since we're using this really great integrated development environment, PyCharm, that if I type random and then dot, I actually get access to that same information as I'm coding. So in this environment, I have a little bit of an edge, and it tells me some things that I need to know. So that helps, or it gives me a little bit of a leg up on programming without having to go into the directory or do some Google searching to find out what my options are. I still might need to do that sometimes, but it does help to have that available. So that is the directory command.